first started my Etsy shop, I focused mostly on listing the products that I personally like, which is important, but I wasn't thinking about the customers and what they search on Etsy. I also thought good products will automatically sell themselves, but Etsy is incredibly competitive now, and there are a lot of vintage sellers on Etsy. On top of that, there are thousands of listings that are competing for attention. Even though I had the products that I liked, they were popular, but people simply weren't finding them. Good products will still need visibility. The biggest thing that changed my Etsy shop and increased my sales was learning about Etsy's SEO. I stopped creating titles based on what sounded cute and started using keywords people were actually typing into search. For example, instead of something vague like cozy vintage decor, I started being more specific, such as vintage silver vanity tray. And if I had the marking or if I knew the brand, I would definitely put that in the title. And other examples could be using cottagecore wall decor, blue Wedgwood pottery, antique brass candle holder, and being very specific with your keywords. That helped Etsy understand my listings better and show them to the right audience. Specific keywords equals better traffic. Next thing that helped was improving my photos and also being creative with them. I realized the first thing that shoppers see on Etsy when they search a specific product is the photo. So shoppers connect emotionally with the photo. Just like us, when I'm shopping for a product, the first thing that I see is a photo, and if I like it, I will click on it. I started creating brighter, warmer, and basically more clear photos of the product and making sure that I have a photo from each angle and all the details. And if the item has any damage, I would definitely make sure that I put a photo there and put that in the condition of the photo so that the buyer has all the information needed. When I'm taking a photo, I focus on lighting and cozy styling and making sure that I show the texture and detail of the product. Once my thumbnail improved, my click-through rate improved too. And I realized with Etsy and changing algorithm, you kind of have to learn it each day. I think consistency at this point is very important for Etsy. As much as quality is important, I think consistency is also important. As someone who has a day job and a kid and a life going on, I have limited time. So instead of waiting for things to get perfect, I kind of put that aside and focus on being consistent with my shop. And that means listing a few items every week. First, I would overthink every single listing for hours, and I realized that is impacting my shop. So I have to focus more on being consistent if I want to have consistent sales. I started focusing on having few listings that would go live throughout the week, and I would focus on like creating drafts, because as someone who is really busy, I cannot go in Etsy and do listing every single day. So I do create drafts during weekend and I list them throughout the week. And also for older listings, I focus on maybe updating photo or updating the title, those kind of stuff, so that giving that older listings another chance. Another thing that helped my Etsy shop was understanding the customer's behavior and like what are they looking for. And instead of trying to sell everything to everyone, I focused on creating listings that are a better fit for my shop and my strategy and are matching with the style of my audience. That helped my shop to feel more cohesive and also build that trust. And I think customers started to trusting my shop more because things started to feel more curated instead of scattered and cluttered. And now pointing to those things that do not really matter and they don't impact your Etsy shop, which is your logo and the cover photo. Obviously, they make your shop look nicer, but they have nothing to do with the sales or reach more people. I wasted so much time on creating those, and I think it's not that necessary. But the real growth came from being consistent, creating that brand that you have in your vision, better photos, and trusting the process. And also I want to be realistic here, because sometimes social media makes business growth look instant. That's not what reality is. So it's better to have realistic goals in mind when you're opening your Etsy shop. I do have a lot of weeks and days where there's no sales, or I do have a lot of listings which completely failed. But if you keep the hard work and those little improvements, it will pay off over time. And one optimized listing will lead to multiple sales and repeat customers. And over time, you will understand who are your audience and what products they are actually looking for. So if you're starting your Etsy shop, I hope this encourages you to keep going because growth can really happen with a small and consistent improvements. And if you enjoy small business Etsy talks, don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel because I will be sharing more about the vintage items, hauls, Etsy, you name it, and behind the scene journey. See you next time.